This first question comes from a nail professional in Canada who asked me this. When I was in Europe, I had a fish pedicure. I started wondering if these are safe. I've heard they can transmit disease. Is there any truth to this? Pedicures using the so-called doctor fish to nibble dead tissue from the feet was originally practiced in the Middle East, since these fish normally live in warm spring waters found in this region. Then, this practice spread to Southeast Asia, and from there was imported to Europe, the US, Canada, Australia, and other places. Many regions have since banned fish pedicures, and for good reason. To my way of thinking, there are several important reasons why this practice is unwise and potentially unsafe. I'd also like to use this opportunity to talk about other important issues and myths related to pedicures in general. First, we have to understand, to protect clients from infections, everything that comes in contact with the previous client's skin should be cleaned and disinfected. That can't occur with these so-called fish pedicures, and there are several reasons why, which I'll discuss. First off, these fish can't be cleaned, nor can they be disinfected. I recently visited 2 such salons, one in London and the other in Copenhagen. I watched as one client left, another quickly took their place. I didn't see any equipment being cleaned or disinfected. In fact, they used the same water for both clients. I watched for a while and saw this repeated again and again. I asked about this at the London spa, and they told me that they sterilized the fish and the water. But I explained to them this wasn't possible. Even if the water were exposed to UV, as they claimed, clearly the fish can't be sterilized, or they would die in the process. Also, UV water treatments have several disadvantages. The main one is that these systems use UVC energy, which is harmful to skin. UVC lamps must be shielded from the skin and cannot be placed in the tub where the feet are located. So the actual container where the feet are placed is not sterilized, nor did I see it being disinfected. So only the water is being treated. Both salons did appear to have pretty blue lights placed inside the tanks with the feet, but these could not have been UVC bulbs. Instead, these were just decorative lighting that would have no effect on the condition, cleanliness, or quality of the water. Instead, they're likely there only to make the clients feel safer. Now, I looked on the internet and researched several of the water and tank systems sold to salons for this purpose. The seller of these UVC water treatment systems for fish pedicures promoted the impressive lighting inside the tanks, which leads me to believe the blue lighting is intended to fool the consumer. When I watched these services performed in these salons, as I mentioned before, I didn't see the foot baths being cleaned or disinfected between clients. Nor do I believe this is regularly done, since the fish would have to be removed, the tank drained and scrubbed, and then filled with a disinfectant solution such as chlorine bleach, and then would require soaking for 10 minutes to ensure complete disinfection. And then the tank would have to be rinsed to remove the residual disinfectant and refilled. Some systems sold for this use contain many hundreds of gallons of water and are designed to provide services to many people at once. Obviously, the water in these pools is not likely to be changed regularly either. Another problem is that the fish excrement contains bacteria that can serve as food for further bacterial growth. And this all goes into the water along with the client's feet. But the biggest issue in my view is that there is no way around the fact that these foot baths must be scrubbed cleaned and disinfected between each client. What's the harm if this isn't done? The problem is that a biofilm can build up on the container walls and inside the water pipes that are not directly exposed to UVC energy. What's a biofilm? An example of a biofilm is that sticky film found on your teeth when you wake up in the morning. Biofilms serve as breeding grounds for bacteria and form quickly overnight while you sleep. Just rinsing your mouth with clean water won't remove these sticky films, nor will rinsing with mouthwash. The teeth need vigorous brushing to remove this biofilm. And brushing is the only way to dislodge and remove the bacteria that create such films. Bacteria live inside these sticky biofilms, and these films serve as a protective nest that allows the bacteria to hide from disinfectant solutions. Biofilms can't hide bacteria from direct exposure to UVC, but unless the foot tub and all piping is directly exposed to UVC and regularly clean, biofilms will build up and can present an infection risk to clients. When I explained this to the person at the front desk, she just shrugged and said, "Then don't have one." I took her good advice and left the salon. But wait, there's more. I did notice a false claim on a website selling these fish to salons and spas, and I want to comment about this false claim. The website said these fish can't carry diseases. But in 2012, a study was published in a prestigious journal called Emerging Infectious Diseases. This journal is published by the prestigious U.S. Center for Disease Control. This study pointed out that these fish can and have carried disease-causing organisms which may infect people. This paper explained that 6,000 fish imported to London from Indonesia for use in salons were affected by a bacterial disease that caused them to bleed from their gills, mouth, and stomachs. Nearly all the fish died as a result. These researchers followed up by testing 5 more batches of imported fish headed for London salons. They discovered many other fish were also infected and by other disease-causing pathogens, and some of these turned out to be resistant to many common antibiotics. To my knowledge, there have only been a few reported infections related to disease carried by these fish. So that doesn't appear to be a very big problem, but it can occur in some rare instances. Also, I want to make it very clear that it is not at all likely that viruses could be spread in this way. So there is no concern that HIV infections will be spread in this fashion, as some have incorrectly reported. In fact, HIV is extremely unlikely to be transmitted by any type of pedicure, and to my knowledge, this has never occurred. Some have argued with me over the years saying, "Doug, well, it could happen." Well, an asteroid could hit the salon while I was having a pedicure, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop having pedicures. Can and will are two very different things. Beware. The words can or could are often used to trick people into thinking that highly unlikely things are likely to happen. Often, this trick is used to sell products or services that a person would never normally purchase unless they were frightened into doing so. Watch for this type of deceptive practice. It's often used by fear-based activist groups and fear-based marketers. And unfortunately, it's often used to needlessly frighten your clients. Anyone suggesting that HIV could be spread by salon pedicures is ignoring that the odds are probably greater than 1 in 5 billion. Since at least that many salon pedicures have been performed since the HIV was discovered in the early 1980s. What is my biggest concern with fish pedicures? It's only this. Proper cleaning and disinfection of tools and equipment is the very best way to prevent infections, and the water should be changed between each and every client. But the way fish pedicures are performed prevents this from being done properly. After reviewing all the available information, my advice would be to not have or give fish pedicures. I don't see how these important and necessary steps can be done when live fish are involved, and that is my biggest concern and why I recommend against them. On the topic of pedicures in general, I'd like to address one other myth. There is no additive that can be placed into the water with the client's feet that will replace the need to properly clean and disinfect pedicure basins between each client. None. Water sanitizing tablets or powders only treat the water and will not clean or disinfect the foot tub, nor will they remove or prevent biofilms. These tablets and powders should never be relied upon as a replacement for proper cleaning and disinfection, the steps that I previously described briefly. Just as UVC water treatment systems are not replacements for properly cleaning and disinfection, I should say, these can only treat water, and these should not be relied on to disinfect or sterilize the equipment. In short, none of these are effective replacements, and they will not protect clients. I do believe disposable pedicure liners are a great option, and I support their use in salons. But even if you use one, the liner and the water must be disposed of each time, and anything that comes in contact with a client's skin must be cleaned and disinfected to prevent the spread of transmittable infections. It's the responsibility of all salon professionals to ensure this is done every time.